Let's dive into the world of Mario Party DS, shall we? This game, released back in 2007 for the Nintendo DS, was the second handheld entry in the series. It was fascinating how it utilized the unique features of the DS, like the touchscreen and microphone, to enhance the gameplay. What's your take on how those features impacted the gameplay experience?
The DS really allowed Mario Party DS to stand out with its interactive minigames. The use of the touchscreen, for example, brought a tactile element that you couldn't get from a standard console. The microphone feature, while not universally loved, did add an interesting twist. It was all about harnessing the DS's capabilities to create something different and engaging.
Right, and it seemed like the developers really leaned into that with their minigames. I mean, there were 73 minigames, which is an impressive variety. How critical do you think this variety was for the game's reception?
The variety was crucial. Mario Party games thrive on keeping players engaged, and having such a wide range of minigames helped prevent it from feeling repetitive. However, it's interesting to note that while the variety was praised, some players and critics thought certain minigames, particularly those involving the microphone, could be a bit gimmicky or annoying.
Yeah, I read that there was some criticism about the AI as well, like it wasn't always consistent. How did that affect the single-player mode?
The AI inconsistency meant that single-player experiences could be frustrating, which is a shame because the single-player story mode is a big part of the game. In multiplayer, those quirks might be overshadowed by the fun of playing with friends, but solo players didn't have that buffer.
Absolutely. And speaking of multiplayer, the lack of an online mode was a major point of contention. Yet, it did offer local wireless play. How did that balance out the criticism?
The local wireless play was a significant feature, particularly because you could play with up to 4 people using just one game cartridge. This was quite innovative at the time and definitely cushioned some of the blow from the lack of online play, especially considering the handheld nature of the DS.
You mentioned story mode earlier. The plot seemed delightfully whimsical, with the characters being shrunk and dealing with all sorts of classic Mario villains. How did this narrative element influence the overall gameplay?
The storyline added a charming layer, for sure. It gave purpose and context to the various boards and minigames. By shrinking the characters, it allowed for unique board designs and thematic minigames, like navigating a backyard. It tied the gameplay and the Mario universe together in a cohesive package.
What about the legacy of Mario Party DS? I read it sold over 9 million copies, which is pretty impressive. Why do you think it resonated so well with players?
It combined nostalgia with new features. Players who loved past Mario Party games could find familiar characters and gameplay while enjoying new, innovative minigames. It was a perfect storm of being accessible for newcomers and deep enough for fans, all while leveraging the handheld platform beautifully.
Despite the mixed reviews, particularly in terms of multiplayer capabilities and AI, it seems like the diverse minigame control schemes were generally praised. What did that say about the game's design approach?
It showcased a commitment to creativity, allowing each player to interact with the game in multiple ways. The varied controls kept players on their toes and made every session feel different. Designing with the DS's unique features in mind was a smart move in ensuring that freshness.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on how it influenced future titles. It was the last one developed by Hudson Soft before Nintendo took over. How did this transition affect the series?
The transition marked a shift in creative direction. Hudson Soft had established a distinct style with their approach, focusing a lot on the innovation of playstyle rather than online connectivity. With Nintendo Cube taking the reins, you saw more robust offerings in subsequent titles, like online features, which reflected wider gaming trends and player expectations.